Well, hello. Welcome to Some Guys Talking on the Beard Bros Media Network. I'm your host, Brian Holler. It's my co-host, Aaron Washington. Aaron, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I was thinking you were going to say illustrious again, but that's okay. You know what? We're here with our illustrious guest. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm doing great today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. Brian, Aaron, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here on Some Guys and Gals Talking.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I'm good. I'm Jessica Ferranti. I'm the CEO and founder of the Mycelia Group.
That's right. And what is the Mycelia Group, may I ask?
You may. So, yeah, in essence, we're a few things for the industry and beyond. The main thing that we're known for, that we're building up our expertise around, is providing fractional leadership to the industry. So kind of go in like doctors to a lot of different brands, ancillary companies, you name it. And we come in with the intention to help them scale without the dysfunction, just like our slogan, refuse to scale dysfunction. So we go in like doctors and we're plugging in the right scripts, the right specialists, right, to help those companies grow sustainably. So that means we're plugging in, different support staff, a CFO, chief marketing officer, sometimes just for a short like spurt, like a clarity sprint, where we're just trying to figure out what areas they need help in. Sometimes they just need a chief marketing officer to come in and help build out, an annual strategy, and then stay on month to month to help, figure things out from like a high executive level. But effectively, we do that to help companies scale sustainably without bleeding all of their capital and payroll.
Yep.
So,
And
in a little nutshell.
very cool. Full disclosure, that was me before I got to do what I do now, what I did before that. So I work with we work with a lot of fractional executives as well. I certainly recommend Mycelia Group and anybody involved with it if you are a fractional executive in the world or one looking to dive into our crazy world here. But anyhow, and yes, definitely hit up Jessica if that's the case. But how the heck do you become a fractional executive, and what the heck does that even mean, and what kind of experience and what kind of background would you even have to get that? Well, that's why we're here on Some Guys Talking today. We want to learn about Jessica and where she, how she comes to be the founder of the Mycelia Group. What the heck is a fractional executive, and how the heck do you get a background that even warrants you able to say this, right? So anyhow, let's start from the beginning. So Jessica, you don't have to get too deep, but where are you from, and when did you first sort of discover?
When did I first discover what?
Our favorite plant.
Oh, plant, yes. So I'm originally from Staten Island, New York. I moved to Jersey when I was around 10, so kind of half and half. Been in Jersey for the most part ever since, but I've traveled for the industry everywhere from Miami to Denver and beyond, just running around working with different startups. Where and when did I first experience the plant? So I was 13. And much like everyone else, right? It's in a random scenario. I was at I think it was like a high school party or something like that. I remember a few weeks prior, I was at another party, just hanging out, nothing crazy. And it was my first time ever truly drinking. Friend handed me a water bottle and was like, "Hey, chug this." It was vodka. And needless to say, to this day, I still do not drink anywhere, like maybe 1 to 2 drinks tops, socially, because of how scarring that evening was. But about 2 weeks
chugging vodka straight from a water bottle is rough.
Yeah, I guess that's the Jersey way. That's the initiation. So about 2 weeks later, I went to a friend's house again. Everyone's hanging out. There was liquor, and I remember walking outside and seeing a bunch of people just lying down, hanging out, like looking at the stars, smoking. So came, laid down, enjoyed them, and next thing I knew, it was being passed my way. Gave it a puff, and that was like within that 2-week period, I realized what a powerful distinction there had been between this and alcohol, and how different I felt, and how much more in control I felt of my body. The the difference in joy, in relief, in even just like pain relief mentally and physically, just that ease. And I never went back. I never, well, never went back to liquor. So that was
That's
really my
awesome.
first dive in.
That's the first time I've ever heard anyone actually like try, because you know, oh, gateway drug, blah blah blah. But to see you find the two and go, yeah, and in a quick period, go, yeah,
Yeah.
this is for me. Mine was like a 30-year period or a 40-year period where it's
Wow.
like, oh, I'm trying to, but then like the plan is like, oh, the clarity of like it's just completely different. That's why I tell people it's like apples and dump trucks. I mean, they're not even the same. So that's awesome. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I took a
Wow.
little pause like after that because again, I was just a young kid experimenting, right? And hanging out with a lot of the older kids. I had older brothers, so that was just kind of, native to me growing up with having older siblings. But I think around 15, I started to get back into I was never really in the party scene, but just, experimenting, hanging out, going out with friends, things like that. And yeah, like I said, I picked right back up into smoking and it was such every time I consumed, it was just such a difference in experience and how I even saw myself consuming versus how I saw others that had been drinking. And
Sure.
man, I just dove head in. I was reading old High Times magazines and
Yeah.
doing, research on the internet. And it was just incredibly like informative. The more and more I learned, the more and more hungry I was to, you know, teach others and like expose them to this like secret, that I had come across. But yeah, life-changing stuff, man, early on.
That must
For
have been
sure.
amazing to kind of have like to see all of your friends acting the way that you do when you drink and you are young and drink too much and don't know your limits. And then to be able to kind of have this removed kind of like, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I was like the
Yeah.
natural mom of the group, and not because I wasn't out there having a great time, but just because everyone, right, had like lost that control in a way, and I was smoking, just hanging out, and then eventually I found my people, right? Found my people
Yeah.
that consumed with me, and while everyone was out partying and uh, just getting into all sorts of shit, I
Yeah.
was smoking in my friend's basement, playing hours of Uno and eating
Sure.
snacks.
That sounds good.
And it was a good life,
You're
good
yeah.
good teenage years.
Your origin story is not unlike mine. Same around the same age too. Like it's about the same. Like I just noticed everybody. I was around a lot of drinking when but in my life, and lots of alcoholics and all sorts of people, and lots of drinking all the time, all the time, all the time. And so I was like, I don't want to do lots of drinking all the time, all the time, all the time, but I don't mind it occasionally. And certainly I, like you, had some really tough experiences that help you understand your limits. But when I discovered cannabis, it was a wrap, Jack. I was like, oh, this is always what will mitigate me. It's like when I was a kid, I used to be like, oh, like this is what will stop me from becoming an alcoholic because I could tell it mitigated my urges that way, and like I didn't know that that's what it was, but I just could sort of tell that that's what was happening at the time. And then of course, when you're just a little bit older, you start diving in, you realize that is sort of what's happening,
Right.
and and but ironically, you get to be I'm a lot older than you, so at the time you get to be kind of the cool kid, but you're being the smart kid, really. And so I can definitely
True.
relate to that. Which, speaking of being a smart kid, which Jessica Ferranti, of course, is. So now you've discovered your sort of lane. You go to college, I assume, right? And
Yep.
then what starts sort of piquing your interest, career-wise? When does that happen? Where you start realizing that this could be more than just something you're passionate about for yourself, but it could be more.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. So, yeah, I mean, it was a slow and steady journey for sure. Like, I wish I could have just, boom, jumped right into college and had I mean, listen, kudos to everybody in this day and age that can go get, like, a cannabis degree or certificate. Unfortunately, when I was younger, the industry wasn't really a thing, maybe
Yeah,
outside of the medical dispo in Cali, it wasn't a career opportunity on the table unless I went legacy, which obviously as a, you know, 18-year-old girl in Jackson, New Jersey, it's not like there was a lot of thriving opportunities out here for that. In any case, yeah, so I started kind of getting into business around the age of 15 as well. My parents owned like a nice limousine, like party bus company. They asked me for some support, just like little admin hours. Came in and I kind of found I have a really huge interest and like I find joy in fixing things, right? Not so much with my hands as much in this scenario, but like technology wise, I enjoy like optimizing and like making sure that someone instead of spending an hour on something can do it in 5 minutes. So I
Right.
started out just doing a variety of like, tasks like that for my parents in the first like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. I automated some things and got their business labor hours down by like 30% from automating. And I was like, cool, I really enjoy doing this. I want to do something in the business world, but what I really like, my passion is cooking. So I was like, let me try to find a way to maybe merge the two of those. So I went to culinary school and I got both a business administration degree as well as a culinary arts degree. So that way I can kind of marry the two, maybe own a restaurant someday,
Sure.
and started going down that path. So I did. I went to a local college for a couple of years. Then I moved out to Miami and went to Johnson and Wales. Built up my, just like my culinary background there for a while. I was working at the Hard Rock Casino for a while and did my internship there. Worked in some nice, like really high end restaurants in Miami. And then I started jumping into the catering side of things, which allowed me to do a little more on the business end. And I was doing really fun events. Like it's Miami, right? Like
Well, I
if
mean,
we're
yeah,
gonna do
hard
anything,
not
that's in
to.
Austin.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
you're
in
doing
Miami.
right.
So yeah, we did. I mean, my wife at the time was working with me back when we were dating. She was doing events for that same company. She threw like I remember there was like one event where we had a Bengal tiger on a rooftop for Kanye West, and then
As
we
you
did
do, as one does.
naturally. Right?
Naturally.
I was doing events for. We did like Sofia Vergara's Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of excitement, and then I moved home back to Jersey. And well, let me tell you, Jersey at the time did not have as much excitement as Miami did.
Oh.
Yeah, no, yeah,
You go from like
that's kind of
party
how it goes.
capital of like the country or maybe the world. I mean, they go
One
they
of the
get there
world
to
ones.
Miami
Yeah,
to there. Yeah, I would imagine it would slow down a little bit.
yeah. Everything's going to be a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
wah wah
So
wah after that. All right, so but you go back to Jersey with a ton of experience and a ton of opportunities. So
yeah, so I came back home and wanted to continue doing the business culinary thing. So I started out. I was 21, so I was still a kid, but very determined entrepreneur. And I opened up a catering company, catering and fruit carving. So
nice.
I was doing that for maybe a year and a half or so, maybe just under like 2 years. And then from there, I just started diving into business because I was trying to supplement my catering company as a young kid with no capital. And then it kind of all spiraled into cannabis essentially. I guess I should get there now, right? Uh, so here's how the progression happened. Moved home. I was bored as hell. Opened up my own catering company. Needed to find some way to make up some income, and I started in sales. I worked my way up the ranks like really quickly, even though prior to that I was afraid to like order my own pizza. Like tell them I want pepperoni,
Right.
blew my own mind. Jumped in, like I said, into sales, doing some marketing items, and then from there I found my next love, which was startups. So I started jumping into companies like across the board. Like I worked with a voice over IP company, a recruiting company, technology company, you name it. Until one day, the industry started to like really flourish. And I was like, fuck this. This is my opportunity. Took the experience of coming into startups and wearing every hat you can imagine. I was the CMO, I was the head of sales, I was
Yep.
overseeing client services. I made a call. I used my resources and I literally just reached out and I was like, "Hey, do you happen to know anybody in the industry?" And I was introduced and literally the rest is history. Jumped in to start working with some ancillary companies and never looked back. And I've been in cannabis ever since. So that's kind of the That's the whole timeline. Sped up.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
So
One day.
you have an understanding wearing so many hats. I mean, that's amazing. Just
Yeah.
that to be multi-talented. That yeah. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say one day the hope, guys, and this is why I was like making this full circle. One day it'll be truly for full circle to where I'm in the cannabis industry running business in the culinary side.
Hmm.
So one day I'm gonna
It'll
tie the
come full
culinary in.
circle.
Exactly.
Yep, it will. You'll be so prepared for that day. Well, I mean, it's you're probably descendant on it now. Knowing you like I do, I'm like, well, if you wanted to force that, you maybe could even today. But anyways, point is that's very cool. Ultimately, no shortage of reasons why you would be able to develop into a fractional executive already, which we haven't even started about talking about that necessarily, but certainly entrepreneurial, marketing and sales experience, cooking, how to manage, develop product, admin experience with your previous company that your dad worked with. Wow. So that's a lot, and it was a party bus. So event as well. So
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
definitely a whole situation there, which kind of makes like as somebody who knows you a little, that I now have connected all those dots. I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But tell the part that you're about to tell now. So ultimately, right, you start doing a little bit more. You finally do get on the radar of some folks in the industry.
Yeah. Like I said, it's great to see it come minus the culinary side of things. I mean, we're doing events now too, so we are able to actually start to tie the culinary piece in. But and my beautiful journey, like I said, had I known that cannabis would have been an option so many years ago, it would have been the first. If anything, I probably would have married the culinary and the cannabis side up front. But I'm elated for everybody else that has an opportunity now.
Yeah.
It's an option. It's not something that they have to think about or dream about. It's like, man, you could pull up a lot of main colleges these days and get certifications and come into the industry, and that's a fucking beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is. Wow.
I know everything from that to science background, marketing, sales, branding, entrepreneurship for it. Those are in very major mainstream colleges as we speak. So all right, Jessica. So ultimately, now we get to sort of more recent years. It sounds like, right? So
Journey.
What what led you to develop the Mycelia group? Really, it's got to. I mean, that's maybe the way to ask it. So that way you talk about your experiences and how it led up to that.
Yeah. So honestly, I think it was like just a beautiful convergence of a lot of things from over the years. The one is even, and listen, this is the thing about cannabis, guys. Like, as you guys all know, right? And ultimately, I'm sure anyone listening can resonate. The industry definitely suffers from a lack of capital, resources, right? A lot of founders are burnt out and spread thin. Teams are wearing 12 hats and they're maybe only supposed to be wearing 2 or 3. But the thing is, this is something that's been happening in a variety of industries for a long time. Like, it's not just something exclusive to cannabis. So from my 15 years, give or take, of working with startups in a variety of industries, I saw the same thing happening all the time. Companies are looking to grow and just like don't have the means, whether it be the capital or the know-how of like what resources are available to them, what they're supposed to do to get to the next level. It's like often a lot of founders will have great ideas or be really good in their particular, like they'll be product experts, or know sales really well or know marketing really well. But not every founder comes in having like that foundational basis of like how to run a fucking company. So I saw this happening for for many years, many different industries. Over the last few years in cannabis, it was no different. If anything, it's just exacerbated here in our industry because of the capital constraints, right? Regulations, all the things that really keep cannabis in a state of flux. Yeah. So the progression, like I said, came from like many years, but over over the last 2.5 years, I was working with Cannabis and Tech Today, right, the media outlet, and I was consulting with a lot of different brands from, your big MSOs to like the Sonys and Amazons of the world, because we had a couple other publications, all the way through to the smaller companies, the Nebraska farmers who went from corn to hemp, or the brand new beverage brands that came out. And I realized that what I've been doing this entire time has been consulting. I just really
Mm.
wasn't getting paid for that portion of it. So I would
Wow.
go in and I would, instead of just selling them a product, I was like, I'm just type of person where I want to see someone succeed, and I'm always going the extra mile because my heart's in it, right? So I find myself consulting for all these different companies, and I realized this trend has not gone away. These companies need help. And what is the main reason that they don't have the help? It's the capital piece. They just don't have the funds to make it happen. So one other thing, just I went to a Benzinga a while back, or Ignite It now,
Mhm.
and I was talking to a few consultant friends of mine, just chatting about how I've been, unintentionally consulting for quite a few years now. And I
Right.
realized there was one other major issue that wasn't being addressed, which is that much like the founders that come into their roles that are struggling kind of understanding the whole entirety of their business, consultants that are really damn good at what they do are struggling too, just in a different way. They're struggling to where they are sole proprietors, they own their own businesses, and they are really good, say, in marketing or in sales or in compliance. But like their counterparts, the founders that they're helping, they're also struggling to run the other parts of their business.
Yep.
Mm.
So we've got like two separate parties
That's right.
struggling from something relatively different, but actually very, very similar.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's how the Mycelia group was born. It's like, hey, we could be a solution, to not just one portion of the industry, but we could be a hub for all the consultants as well as all the founders that need those solutions and help marry the two together.
Yep.
So
That makes
for
a lot of sense. You can basically have a group of trusted resources that a business brand can look at and be like, oh, I do need a CMO, CRO, CTO, media partner, etc., and find that the Mycelia group. But also, you'll find in the Mycelia group, hi, here's how you create your own. Make sure you are a business too. Remember, because you're, 1099, you're a sole proprietor probably. You have maybe 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 clients. You are a business too, and there's a lot of things that you have to remember about that too. And you're not wrong. People are either spread too thin or unprepared.
Mm.
yeah, and sometimes it's not even founders and consultants alike. I mean, they all know they need help in some areas, but the other time, like the other issue that kind of ties in with that is they don't always necessarily know where they need help. And it
Mm.
almost feels very often like the load is so heavy that even getting help feels like a task they don't have the bandwidth for.
Yeah.
Like, where do we start? I have, this department, this area. It's like, how do I even begin emptying my plate? That's another issue that, like, the Mycelia group is really good at. Like, we come in, that's what I was mentioning, like, the doctor analogy. We're the primary care doctor for your business. So, sometimes, whether, again, you're a consultant or a founder or leadership team, sometimes you know exactly what you need, right? Like I said, maybe you need high-level CFO, type of work to come in, or, like a high-level CFO to come in and do the work where they're building out your budgeting. They're getting you in, like, a healthy position, and you know that, and that's a nice, easy sort of setup. But what about the companies that don't know where they start? We come in like those doctors to listen to the symptoms, right? So we're listening before we're just handing you a script. We're listening, we're finding out what the true issues are, what the biggest priorities are, what needs to be done, and then we're creating a care plan, just like your primary would. And sometimes that care plan is going to be a fractional executive, a what we call a pod, with multiple executives and other operators coming in, like plugging in, doing the job, right, and getting out.
Yep.
Sometimes it's virtual staff. Like, shit, guys, sometimes it's literally as easy as the founder or the CEO or the COO, whoever, they just need an executive assistant.
Hmm.
That's right.
Literally just a simple. Sorry. Sometimes you got to know what the actual root cause is and what the diagnosis is before you can provide the script, before you can provide the solution. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Wow.
what we aim to do.
Yes. Yeah, you're making, reminding consultants that they're their own business as well, which, I've done with a lot of people over the years as well, to remind them that they are. Also really cool that you can like really now there's a group that's sort of focused in, obviously you're not the only consulting firm or group of consultants in the entire industry, but I like that there's like project-based options. That makes a lot of sense, especially for people in a pinch, trialing things, as groups expand, right? Hey, I have this internally, but I don't want to step on their toes because they're working on this. I need to bring in the same equivalent folks, but just for a bit to do this other project over here because I need my people who would normally do it focused over here.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Those are all worthwhile reasons to have a Mycelia group in the first place and to use a fractional executive. And as are all the other different reasons that we've been coming over around this episode, of course, which is, yes, it's tough out there. Overhead is a mother, you know what. You need to protect yourself is where I also like to go to, that's why you have so many people trying to figure out how do I become a consultant in the space, because they see that it's much more advantageous for them to grow that way. To your point, you stumbled into it. Well, you are indicative of a decent amount of people, I think, in the space.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is too is no matter what position I've ever been in, whether I was starting out, it doesn't matter if I was literally like babysitting when I was younger or I was running a catering company or jumping into a startup. I just always had the mentality of like, shit, if someone dies or something happens, like there needs to be a plan and a strategy, right? Like something to have that like redundancy. So anything that I've ever built out, I've always done it with the mindset of if I wasn't here, can this be done? And I think a lot of the challenges that the consultants in the space have, aside from the fact that they might be subject matter experts in like one area, is that to start a consultancy, like it's like any other business. There's a lot of elements to it, right? A lot of hidden costs that people don't realize. Like, damn, you got to go, you got to get an attorney, build out proper contracts, or this is cannabis, right? Like, that there's a high likelihood you could get fucked, right? If you don't have the right paperwork.
Yep. Yep.
So we can curse on here, right? We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
You're good.
We're saying, number one, you're going to get fucked if you don't have the right contracts.
You definitely will, and not in a good way, to your point.
Not in a good way at all.
Yeah. So, and ultimately, like, that's, I think, a big reason why you need at least one. To your point, you're saying, like, hey, some people just need an advisor or somebody they can, bad ideas off of, right? Agreed. I think somebody with a worthwhile experience, I think a lot of people we know have made a decent amount of hay off doing that, right?
Sure.
And that's no shade to them. In fact, that's a compliment to those folks. That is how you're supposed to grow as a consultant, right? Get yourself opportunities. Maybe you get skin in the game with a couple of places. Maybe you're on an advisory board over here. Maybe you have a couple of different, roles that are fractional as well. And that sort of combination starts getting you, or is what you're content to do, unless one of them blows up or you start getting made offers you can't refuse. But that's a good problem, of course. So, ultimately, and this also saves you from, protects you in a lot of ways from getting screwed. So, it's a kind of win-win. Jessica, I think people are watching this and they're like, well, this makes sense, and I'm sort of this, or I am this, and this resonates, but I do think a lot of people that I talk to, at least, and I'm sure it's the same for you, don't really know how to like, how do I get even started remotely? Like, what do I even do? Right. I stumble in a position, I have like 2, maybe 3 gigs all of a sudden. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right. Or I want to attack it this way, but what do I do? So what would be like maybe some high level 2-3 things you might advise somebody if they're looking to kind of position themselves a bit more effectively as a consultant in the space?
Yeah, okay, if they're trying to position themselves as a consultant specifically.
Yeah, give
Yeah.
or take. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say from a founder standpoint, I just so the founders understand too, because this is the hard part, right? It's just getting started and figuring out where you begin. From a
Yeah.
founder standpoint, you don't have to come prepared. That's kind of the whole consultant's job, right? Is to come in and ask you the right questions so that
Yeah.
we can determine, right, what the path is forward. For
Yeah.
consultants, it's a slightly different game. I mean, like I was mentioning before, the other challenge in being a consultant and having that subject matter expertise, and then like, having to get contracts is all the other things that do come along with it, which are having the tools, the software, the systems, the CRMs, the consultant frameworks, KPI. I mean, the whole framework of building out a full consultancy, even if you're a sole proprietor, at least for me, because like if I'm gonna do something, like I'm gonna go balls to the wall. I'm not gonna
Sure.
go little by little. Like I'm gonna get shit done. So for someone that's looking to come in and get shit done, you want to make sure you have all these different elements put together and your infrastructure is really solid before you go and take on contracts on the things that you almost kind of like crumbling under the weight of your own success. The perk though of why a either long-time consultant or someone that's brand new that's trying to maybe explore being like a fractional or be a consultant in the space, the perk of why they should do that under the Mycelia group is because we resolve those things for them. See, the challenge of being a consultant is that you're only paid for your billable hours, meaning the
Yep.
work that you're actually billing the client for,
That's
right?
right.
Beyond that, you're working for free, man. Like,
Yep. Any extras, any value adds,
yeah,
that's a free. That's you
yeah,
greasing the skids, hopefully, because you're, providing a little extra. You want the contracts to continue. You want things to be sort of more lucrative as you move forward, right? So, that's up to everybody else, that line. Thank you for pointing out to founders. Really, all you have to do is come open to the conversation. And yes, internally with your team, figure out which ones are maybe worth you having a conversation, spending your time with. That's something that you're going to want to do on your
we
end
vet
as a
we vet
founder
both
or
ways.
right.
Yeah, hell yeah, we vet both ways for sure. We're vetting our clients as much as they're vetting us. That's
That's right.
truth.
That's right. So make sure it's worth everybody's time. But once that's of course established, then yeah, be open to just discussion. You don't have to come really prepared. You will know everything. And anything that a consultant or anything you didn't, consultant should be prompting you to ask, not the other way around. So, like ultimately, right, I want to learn about your business and brand. I want to learn about what you're doing. I want to learn about your goals. I want to learn about, I want to learn about, your ethos, right? Like what you're doing, with the company. What are your short-term, long-term goals? That's the way that I'm going to be able, or you, or any other consultant's going to be able to, right, create what you were calling like a, path forward, basically.
Yeah, it's asking the right questions. That really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're selling, right? Effectively, if it's consulting services or a product, every
Yeah,
sale,
it doesn't.
every sale effectively happens by asking the right questions. It's the same with this. You got to know what questions to ask to help kind of uncover. Like a good example is I remember having, even like years ago, I remember some clients being like, "Oh, our sales team sucks, right? And like we're not selling enough. Like
Mm-hmm.
to come in and train our sales team and let go of the people that need to not be here and help hire new people." But then you get into the organization and you realize it's never just one thing. Their sales team is suffering because the marketing team is speaking a totally different language. The operations team is behind on inventory. So the client, so the sales team is having a hard time selling a product that's out of inventory, right? Like these are the things that you don't really find out unless you ask the right questions. But just one quick note back to the consultant side, just saying like that's the one benefit of working with the Mycelia group is that we already have all this infrastructure. So if someone is looking to be a fractional executive or consultant in the space, we already have the contracts. We've already got the CRM, the framework, the sales training, the scripts. So I do welcome anybody. If you guys are looking to be a fractional, there is no salary, right? You are running your own business. So
That's right.
that's a big element. But all the other things that take away from you actually making money and billing your clients under those
Yep.
billable hours, that's what we take over.
That's right.
left on that side. Yeah.
Wow.
Aaron's just soaking it all in, man.
Yeah,
I really am, because it's like you're the doctor. You come in and you diagnose what's going on, and you make people cough and drop your pants and cough. And
I love that the prostate exam is the first thing.
That's the part we don't talk about. But yes, just kidding.
Because it's just this like comical, mythical thing. Whenever men think about doctors, that's what it is: drop in cough. So yeah,
There was a very inappropriate joke that I heard yesterday that I'm absolutely going to share. It was something along the lines of like, what's the scariest thing about like going to get a prostate exam? And it was something along the lines of like having the doctor have both hands on your shoulders. You know? Think about that for a hot second.
Yeah,
that part is rough. Yeah, that's probably the roughest part there. Yeah.
There's a serious place. Yeah, I could have his hands on both.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Listen, Aaron brought it up. Okay, I'm just riffing.
It was Aaron's fault, so I blame him.
You're all good. You're all good. The world needs more levity, so that's welcome.
Right.
My pleasure.
This actually, speaking of people, speaking of jokes, I had some fun segue, but I decided not to say it. Anyways, you do bring up one thing that we didn't talk about, and this is probably a good last sort of heavy topic to get into, or a last like thick topic to address in this, is one of the reasons why it's tough out there as a consultant is because there's a lot of consultants that give consulting a bad name. Whether they call themselves advisors or consultants or what have you. The term isn't quite as negative as maybe attorney or accountant quite yet, but it's sniffing it for sure. And I wonder what you say or what you think about that. B, what have you done, and what maybe the Mycelia group and its members sort of convey to people to make sure that they realize they're not dealing with that kind of a consultant.
Man, this is like a question that I wish I had like written down and handed to you, because like this is so perfect and something that so desperately needs to be talked about. What a perfect question. So, few things. The first is that the challenge a lot of people have, or two challenges that a lot of companies have with consultants, are the following. The first thing is consultants are siloed. So much like I mentioned, they're subject matter experts in one area. They do have a hard time sometimes getting more like a holistic view of the entire company. So if they are just brought in to do sales, they might not realize all the other elements that are affecting sales to begin with, right? So there's a silo sort of effect that tends to happen, and that doesn't always resolve the issue. I'm gonna list out a few things. The second item is that there's no oversight. So a consultant coming in, and listen, there's a lot of wonderful consultants in the space that have done a phenomenal job. So it doesn't speak to everybody. But when you are a consultant and you're running multiple projects, or even one big client project at a time, the only person that's overseeing you is typically the CEO or someone in C-level. And let's be real, guys, they're slammed.
For sure.
Like they're not able to see you or even know how to measure your success or progress, because they brought you in because you're the one that has the expertise.
Right.
Yep.
So who's there? Right? Who's effectively there to mitigate that? Who's there to turn around and be like, no fractional consultant doing revenue. This is definitely not fucking right. This is not correct. There's nobody there. So there's a huge lack of oversight and accountability. The third is, if you're bringing in a consultant that's solo, a lot of the framework I mentioned, it's not always necessarily there, but the tougher part of that is some really good consultants in the space have built up a really solid network, and they're able to tap into that network. But it's what I like to call like scattered consultants.
Yeah.
So even if they're able to bring someone else in, there's still no project manager, still 2 invoices, 2 separate SOWs,
Yeah.
it's very fragmented.
Yep.
When the group comes in, we're collectively putting these people together. If we need more than one person, we're collectively providing the oversight. We're collectively holding the consultants accountable. And that brings me to my last big one. Another reason that consultants, and it's not necessarily consultants' fault, it's just it's just like a side effect, which is that consultants coming in are often able to come in and build the high level strategy, but not do what we call like the operator work, like getting your hands dirty, jumping into systems, getting on sales calls. Like sometimes it's just high level strategy. And the issue for a lot of companies, it's not just that they're missing the high level strategy. It's that a lot of companies, and you'll hear from a lot of consultants, they put in an amazing strategy. Holler strategy comes in, fixes all these different solutions, the whole awesome roadmap. Then the problem gets bigger because they've got a strategy and they know what they need to do, but they don't have the staff in-house to execute that freaking expensive strategy sometimes, right? Relatively, that was produced for them. So it's like they've got someone coming in telling them what to do, but no one to do the thing. So that's another area that Mycelia Group really strongly comes into, because we started out just doing fractional executives, and that was like our core competency, our core focus. And just noticing these issues, we've evolved. So like now we offer to resolve these things, right? We offer fractional executive leadership. We offer recruiting and staffing, either like full-time, like full-time and part-time, or 1099 contractors here in the US, or like virtual remote staffers, like 750 different roles around the world that we can fill at a much lower cost, whether it's a developer, a marketing manager, a bookkeeper, an assistant, customer service rep, doesn't matter. And then after the recruiting and staffing, we also offer the executive, like the business coaching and advisory, which helps the teams, right? Especially the executives, actually find different ways to implement those strategies, understand them, guide them as their business goes. So basically, guys, the entire intention behind it is, for some companies, yes, what they need is what is the best fit for them.
Yep.
As far as like coming in, doing something quick and being out. But the truth is, most of these companies, they don't want someone coming in, doing something quick and leaving. They want the strategy, and they want to fucking execute. They want to
That's right.
find a way to get this shit done now. They've got the plan. They've got the roadmap. So that is how we sort of evolved the company, by solving all these scattered consultant issues. You're coming to us as your primary doc for everything as you're growing, as you're growing, as you're scaling in whatever phase of business you're in. So again, everything that we've done, I don't just like to throw spaghetti at a wall with sticks. The entire intention is to fix problems that actually exist.
That's good.
Yeah,
that brings up a whole nother like show that we could do. But ultimately, you're right. And I think leadership is a big one. Like it's not saying that you aren't capable of leading. It's that you might not know how, like, because you're not wired that way. You might need somebody who has experience in the general sense of scaling any business, right? And then to have a group of folks that have been in the space for a long time and have this experience that you can sort of tap into as a group is very smart, I think. And ultimately, we have a few of those, but not one that's sort of transparently lined up to be sort of a really intelligent sort of larger option for people. It's interesting, the conversation around execution and strategy, right? Because for one, I tend to be somebody who's like, yes, I want to consult people who want to be part of it, right? That can do both, right? But on the other hand, if you pay McKinsey $1 million and they give you the playbook, it's a pretty valuable playbook, to be fair.
Yes.
And so, right. I mean, ultimately, you're not affording McKinsey unless you're like, a handful of companies in our space. But my point is that, like, there's a reason for, like, I wouldn't say all strategy is, or people who are just strategists or grow into it as they get older is a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. But people who are doing that but haven't done it before, or who haven't done both, to your point, I think that is something as an operator you should consider when you're evaluating consultants, for sure. Especially in our space. You can't really, like, you gotta really go with people who can get you going and can, quite frankly, save you time and money, and that are wired that way.
You touched on something in the beginning there about, like, a CEO doesn't necessarily mean that they don't know how to do their job or anything like that. It's I look at it
No,
at a
it helps
very,
them. Yeah,
yeah, listen, it's all about mentality. If you, just like anything else, you come in with too big of an ego and it's all about you and a reflection of you because you're getting help,
sure.
that's harder to fix, right? But the
That
truth
is
of the
tough.
matter is that the truth of the matter is if you can put your ego aside and look at the practice of bringing others in, it shows, if anything, that you're a more effective leader.
Of
Because
course.
once taught me, actually, one of my first big, like, CEOs and mentors taught me that as the CEO, you should always have smarter people in the room than you.
That's right.
And if you're going and you're getting help with a coach, like a business coach or an executive coach, leadership coach, whatever, you're getting an executive assistant, if you're getting a fractional, whatever, it reflects better upon you that you're out there making sure that you have the right people on your team to scale the business. Because here's something that people kind of don't even realize happens, or happens in the right smart companies. If you're a chief marketing officer and you're fucking crushing at your job, right? You're good, you're hitting your KPIs, everything. You still only had the experience you've had. So imagine your company, even just for 3 hours the whole year. You're like, I'm building out my annual strategy. I could really use someone that's specialized in this particular area as a CMO to come in and work with me for 3 hours and review my plan and give me some high level suggestions.
Just
That's
another
awesome.
set of eyes. Just another set of eyes to look at it and just like things that you haven't even thought about. So 100%. Keep
Dude,
going. That's amazing.
That's
think
right.
about how crazy that is, right? Think of how crazy it is that in every department below sea level, you always have other people on your team to run things against, to get a second pair of eyes on.
That's
Why
right.
is it that executives? Nah,
No.
you
Yeah.
gotta be lonely at the top. No one else is
Yeah.
allowed to
Yeah.
no one in your subject matter expertise is allowed to jump in and riff with you and tell you and like be devil's advocate. Just imagine how lonely it is at the top that way, not just the CEOs, the people below them. So it's
Yes.
also a mindset change.
For sure. And
Yeah.
we could get into that one for another episode too. We might have to do another couple with Jessica, to be honest with you. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap up now because we could just get into this. The CTAs are very clear. Stay in your lane, or know your lane, I should say, not stay. Know your lane, right? Because if you know your lane, then you'll know how to add to it, right? Another one is the word consultants. It means help is coming and help is there for you, whether it's niche or general. And then also make sure that you vet both ways. If you're a consultant, make sure that you're, kind of before you pull the trigger on your agreement with an operator or a business, that you've vetted them out accordingly and you've made very clear plans about what you're going to do, and vice versa. If you're, evaluating your operator, evaluating consultants, dig in. Mycelia group, also great for that because it's a whole group of them. And so you can basically tap right on in via Jessica and a bunch of people, awesome people that work there. So thank you, Jessica, for being on Some Guys Talking today. Before we head off, I would like you to tell everybody where they can find you and the Mycelia.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're nationwide, so we're serving every state. You can find the Mycelia Group at themyceliagroup.com. Very easy, Mycelia. You can call us at 732-455-9796. And then we're on all socials at literally hashtag at the Mycelia Group. So we're very easy to find. And then I'm Jessica Ferranti on LinkedIn as well.
There we go.
That's it. Nice and easy. Thank you guys for having me. What a great chat. Thank you for giving me a platform and an opportunity to talk about this like very real issue in the space and the solution that exists versus just talking about the problem, like being able to actually share that there are things out there to help. get to the next level, and they don't have to do it on their own. So thank you for sharing that time with me. Really appreciate it.
It's important stuff. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So, yes.
Yes, our pleasure. And, please, operators out there, if you need help, you can hit up Jessica. You can hit up the Mycelia group. You can also hit up Beard Bros Farms and Media. You can work with both of us and really get your needle moving if you'd like. But that's a whole other story altogether. I look forward to hearing from all of you, of course. And please follow the Beard Bros Network Media Network on YouTube. That's where you'll find this amazing show, Some Guys Talking. I'm Brian Holler. He's Aaron Washington. She's Jessica Ferranti. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.